Okay, let's get started then. So we're going to look at the portal this morning. Hopefully you can all still see my screen. We're going to look at the portal this morning, and we're just going to look at how we give access to the portal, how we send the client the invite. We're going to show the emails and the client journey. We'll have a look at the fact find. So we're going to complete a bit of the fact find in the portal, and then we'll come back to the fact find and show you where that lands. So in order to create this point that we're at, as you probably all are aware, you would go in, literally click create case, create your basic details for your case, so what type of case it is, either search for an existing client or create a new client, put some basic details in to create a new client, and then when you create that client, it'll take us through to our IDD. We confirm our verbal IDD if we've already spoken to our client about that, and then we would land here. So I think you're all familiar with that journey. So again, I don't want to waste your time going over things that you're all familiar with. So we would land here. You probably wouldn't have a case flag. This is because I've used this case in the past. And then you would have the opportunity to go straight in and send your client the portal invite. Do remember the wonderful little toggle over here on the left. That's the show missing toggle. Let me just put my little funky green thing on so you can see where I'm pointing, so you don't have to guess where I'm pointing. So do remember to put your show missing toggle on, and then send your invite to the client portal to your clients. So as you're probably aware, if you've got more than one client, you would have the opportunity here to send it to both clients, but we've just got the one here. So I'm going to send that invitation. I'm going to hope that that's going to pop up in my emails in a reasonable period of time, so we're not sat here waiting for it forever. And as you can see now, once we've sent that invite, it grays it out. So that email's just popped up, the email that will go out to your client, that's just popped up, and this is what it would look like. It would probably have the pictures on when it got to your client, but this is what it would look like. And then your client would literally just go in and get a secure link. So it's nice and straightforward, easy for clients to understand. So your client would get the secure link, and what that would do is ask them just to pop in and confirm their email address and send the secure link. So the email address is there, and send the secure link. So this is your client's journey, remember? And again, I'm going to hope that that comes through fairly quickly, because we don't want to be waiting for emails, etc. The first one came through reasonably quickly, so I would expect this one too. So once your client has clicked this to send the secure link, we can then see the email that your client would get would look like this. Okay, so your client would then say, okay, thank you very much, I've got that, I'm going to sign into my portal. And then again, your client wouldn't get this. It's because I've used this email address for lots and lots of cases. Your client would just literally be asked to go straight through to the portal, and then they would get through to the portal. Sometimes when I'm doing this in a test environment, it hangs like this. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to stop that and then click the sign in again. And sometimes that sort of kicks it into shape and lets us log in. Okay. That, generally speaking, I would think wouldn't happen for your client. It's because we're using a test environment and there's lots and lots of different clients already. So this is where your client would land. The background color you can choose in your settings. You can choose that, and you can add in your logo, and obviously you can add in details around the individual advisor. So you can set your portal up to fit more with your branding. And then again, I'm just going to walk through some of the obvious stuff in here, but some of the stuff that you might not be aware of. So the home is where we are. Property data, there's nothing in there at this moment in time because we haven't added a property in. But once there's property to be purchased is added in, either via you or via your client, then the client can get data around that property. So flood risk, local, lots and lots of local data. Documents is where your client would go and look at any documents, so the IDD that you've sent them, any documents that they've uploaded, and any documents as you go further on in the process, things like the illustration, the ESIS document, and the suitability report. So that's where your client would go and view that. Messages, this is where your client can send messages to you. I'm just going to pop a message in. You can see, because I've used this case previously, that there are some messages there, but I'm just going to pop in, thank you for the invite, just for now, just so we can see the messages and how they would work and how they look, A, for the client, as you can see in this thread, and B, when we go back into the case, how they look for you. Okay, so lots and lots of things across the top there, nice and straightforward for your client. Log out, nice and straightforward, that's what it says on the tin. But let's go back to the home page and look at what we can ask our clients to do. Now, remember, you have control over this when you're having conversations with your client. you know, when you're sending them the link, before you send the link, you can say to them, can you just do this? Don't worry about anything else. Or can you do this, 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 and this? You decide what conversation you have with your client. Well, this is what your client will see. And then they have the opportunity to go in and verify their ID, get the credit report, fill in a little bit of the fact find. But you can see here that we're not using industry speak. So tell us a bit about you rather than complete the fact find. Tell us about your goals. And here, can you upload the documents that I've asked you for? So again, trying to make it really, really client friendly. Okay, now again, bear with me this morning. Some of this stuff isn't going to work as it will work because it's a test environment. I'm not uploading my passport. I'm not going to look at my credit file, certainly not in a live environment in front of however many brokers are on the call. So just bear with me when I show you something, and don't think the whole system's broke. It's purely and simply because of the way that I'm doing it this morning. So the client would go in, verify their ID. Because I've done this a couple of times, it's saying, oh, hang on a minute, that's not happened. But your client wouldn't get that. Your client would get the initial screen to verify their ID. And I'm just going to go and get that here. So your client would get this screen, and then they have the opportunity to use a form of ID, or they have the opportunity to answer the security questions. So if they use this option, again, this is just a really straightforward journey. And if you're okay uploading your own stuff, then go in and do the whole journey yourself. But your client would be asked to accept the terms and conditions. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Continue with that. And then your client would be asked to put in the credit file and put in their details. So we're going to add our full address because that isn't in there at the moment. We haven't added anything on the fact find. And your client can look up the address, so they can pop in their postcode, look up the address, and then select answer the questions as they go through. So you can see there straight away, there's the address, and then the client would answer the questions as they go through. So we're going to say they're a tenant. We're going to say more than 3 years. They've lived there more than 3 years. If your client has lived there less than 3 years, then obviously they'll have to fill in the details to show how long they've been there. So we'll save and continue that. And one of the things to remember in the portal is your client isn't going to be forced to do things if it's not appropriate for what they're doing. So if there's certain questions that they think, I don't know the answer to that, they can move on, and it won't stop them moving on. It will just stop them going past a certain point in the future. So we can say add current employment, or we can save and continue. So we're going to add current employment. And this is so that when we go back into the fact find, we can see. So the client puts in their expected retirement age. Now, if you don't want your clients to do this, just say to them, when I go into the portal, all you need to do is just upload your documents. All you need to do is just run your ID search. All you need to do is complete everything. Whatever works for you and your particular client. Some of them will be fine. Some of them will be technologically excluded. So you need to manage that expectation. So we're just going to fill this in. Job title, client will know what their job title is. So they'll pop that in. And as you all know, there's quite a vast amount of job titles in there. But if they can't find it, then they can just type in the specific title, the same as you can in the fact find. So when did they start that? We'll just say 01/2016. I don't know why that date always drops into my head, but. And then you can see here, we just put the employer name in. Your client would probably fill the rest of this in. They would probably know this. But if they don't, it's an optional field anyway. So it's not going to stop them. It's not going to make any difference to anything. And then here we've got the client filling the salary. Again, you might say to them, don't bother with that. We need to make sure that it's the way your salary is constructed, etc., etc. Or actually, can you just go in and fill it in? And then when we have a discussion, we can amend things. So again, you manage that, how it works for you and how it works for your clients and your business. So any other things that are relevant to your client, pop them in. Are they expecting any income change? No, I'm not. Okay. But when you have a conversation, if these things change, you can change them. And then we'll save and continue. It says to you, you haven't completed everything here. So I've actually missed something, but you haven't completed anything here. You can carry on to the next section as a client, or actually you can say, oh, let's go back and see what I've missed. What have I actually missed? Okay, have I missed anything in particular here? Yeah, no. Okay, not sure what I've missed. Okay, I think it probably is national insurance number somewhere along the line. Okay. And then we're going to save that and continue. And we're going to say, no, actually, I'm going to carry on. I'm not sure what I've missed. Okay. If it's a mandatory field, it will show in the fact find. So your client's done the best that they can, and then they've moved on. You can review and edit your personal information, you can carry on, or your client can go back to the dashboard. Okay, so again, once your client's in the client portal, they can go through and they can say, okay, tell us about your goals. Now, you might say, I don't want you to do that. I want to have that conversation with you. I want to make sure that when we go through and have that, I want to be talking to you about that. Or you might say, just tell me a little bit about what you're looking for. It's entirely up to you how you manage that. But your client can go in and you can see that this is fairly straightforward. It's not a difficult thing for your client to navigate. You know, even clients that aren't technological masters could get through this nice and easily. So have you ever owned a property before? Yes or no? Okay. Why do we ask this? That's for you, is it? Save and continue. Okay. Have you found a property to buy? Yes or no? If you pop yes in, it'll ask for the address. Okay. And if we pop all the details in here, which I'm going to do for this example, they will all populate back through into the fact find for us. But your client might say no. You know, it might be if the fact that they've not actually found a property yet. Well, let's say they're going to buy, I don't know, 74. No, better not do that. That's someone's actual house. Let's say they're going to buy the office. Okay. And then how much is the property going to cost you? Well, the estate agent said it's valued at £200,000. What type of property is it? It's a house. The estate agent said it's got 3 bedrooms. I've looked at the details and it's a driveway. Yeah, I think it's tile roof. It's brick, definitely. Yeah, I saw that on the pictures. I'm not sure of this, but I think looking at the thing, it might have said leasehold, it might have said freehold. You know, you can change it if it's not right in the future, and it is definitely in England and Wales. So again, how much do you want your clients to have in this input? Do you want your clients to have in this journey? How many years do you want your mortgage term over? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. This is why I'm going to see a mortgage advisor. Okay. Okay. So we'll save and continue. Yeah, but I don't know anything about that. So I'm going to continue to the next section. So your client would carry on. Any help finding a conveyancer? I already have one. My lender provides one. I don't know. I don't know what this is even talking about. So I'll just move on. Okay, I'll click on the next section. And in here, I'll fill in the budget planner. Or actually, Aidan asked me not to do this because he wants to sit down and do this with me. So, okay, I won't do that. I won't fill that in. Okay, no problem. I think I've done everything here then because he's asked me not to fill that in, or he's asked me to fill that in. I'll go back to my dashboard and I'll go all the way back to the home. And I remembered he asked me to upload some documents, but just before he upload the documents, what's all this here? This home buying process thing. And again, you can direct your clients to this if you feel it's appropriate. You might want to actually have this sort of discussion with them. But if they click on the home buying process, what it does, it gives them a little bit of an overview. And a really good thing is right at the top, it says get qualified mortgage advice. So basically, it's encouraged them to speak to you as a broker. It's reiterating the fact that it's a good thing to do that. But then it can walk them through the process, and they can tick off things as they've done it. Okay. Now, again, you might want to have this conversation with your clients. You might want to control how they get that information and how they process that information. Or you might want to say, go and have a look at that, and that'll just reinforce everything I'm going to talk to you about. Entirely up to you how you manage this. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our home, and we can either go up the top here and click on documents, or we can scroll down and ask our client to follow this process and upload some documents for us. So we're going to upload those documents, and it's really straightforward, as you can see here. Proof of income, that's what you need to upload. So we click on here. Most clients will be comfortable with uploading documents. They will have done this before. But again, if you think they might not be, then give them some guidance. Okay, so we're going to upload, I forgot what I was doing then. Proof of income. We're going to upload proof of income. So in my case, it's this, but your clients might be called payslip. It might be called anything that they've called the file. So it's evidence of income, and then they're going to select the file type from the drop down list. Okay, so they're going to select that. And actually what I've uploaded is my SA302 or my company accounts or my payslip or my P60. So the client can do that and upload the files. And then that'll tick that off, and they'll say, okay, I need to upload my bank statement next. So I'll do exactly the same process. I'll upload that. Aidan asked me for the last 3 months. I'll put them all on one PDF, or he asked me to separate them, whatever works for you. And then I'll say, there's my bank statement, and I'll upload that. So you can see this is quite an easy journey for your clients to do. A lot of advisors say to me, I don't want my clients going in there because they wouldn't be able to do that. If that's the case, and you still believe that's the case after seeing this, then okay, just manage your client's use of the portal and say, I'm going to send you a link. It's there for you to get your credit file. It's there for you to put your ID on. It's there for you to look at your documents at any time that you want. There's other stuff on there, but you don't need to worry about that because we'll do that when we sit down and have that conversation. Or actually, it's probably better for me if you fill all of this in and then I can do some basic research before we meet. Whatever works for you and your client's circumstances. So proof of address. Okay, so can you upload your proof of address for me? Proof of residence, I've called it. Okay, and when you've uploaded your proof of address, what is that? Is it a bank statement? Is it a utility bill? What is it? Okay, so I'm just going to say it's a utility bill because it's the council tax. And what address is that for? It's for this address, and we can use that, no problem. Okay, so it could have been a bank statement, it could have been a utility bill, it could have been council tax. So it's uploaded that file, and then any other additional documents, well, he did ask me to upload my buildings insurance or my contents insurance or my existing policy details or whatever it was, in this case, first time buyer, so they haven't got those things. Well, you might say if you're doing a remortgage for your clients, you might say, oh, can you upload your buildings cover as well for me, just so I can make sure that we've got everything there for you. Can you upload your existing policy documents if you've got them? Again, you might not have that conversation. You might think that's going a bit over the top. You decide, but your client has the opportunity to do those things. Okay. So once your client's uploaded all of those documents, you might say to them, just go back to your homepage and just send me a message and let me know when you've uploaded all those documents and I'll confirm receipt of them. Okay. So your client just goes in. We can see that we've already done this, but uploaded documents. They would probably be a little bit more polite and say things like hi Aidan, etc. But for time's sake, we're just going to say uploaded documents. Okay, so your client, as you see there, you really can just go in. Your client can go in and they can have a look at anything that they've put in. So they could go into the documents folder, which is up here, sorry. They could go into the documents folder and they'll see those documents that they've uploaded. You will see them. So you've got here the passport, the live photo that was previously done. You will see here anything that your clients have uploaded. And of course, when you upload any documents, unless you make them internal, your client will see them here as well. Okay. So again, we can go back through and just say, okay, let's just log out now. I've finished, Aidan. So when your client logs out, your client will be able to go back into the portal in future from an email address. Okay, so they can just pop in the email address, and also it asks them to bookmark the page. So they can literally just click on there and bookmark the page. When they go back in here, they pop in an email address. Okay, and then be asked to log in. If they've already set up a password, then they could go in, pop the password in and log in. If they've forgotten their password or they haven't set one up at this moment in time and they just need to say, I need to set one up, then they can click on forgot password. They can ask it to continue. I'm not going to go through this process, but they can ask it to continue. And what would happen is your client would get a 5-digit code, a 6-digit code rather, to pop in here. So they get an email with a 6-digit code to pop in here, and then they would be offered the opportunity to change their password. When they do that, it will give them the rules as well. So it'll say it has to have capitals, it has to have 12 characters, it has to have, the normal stuff. Okay. So before we pop back in there, I'm just going to see if we've got any questions regarding the portal so that we can make sure we cover them off before we go back into the fact find. Just bear with me a second. I'll have a look. Okay. It could be made compulsory, but again, is that journey is then going to stop your client completing further things, Bobby Jean, and you can ask those questions. I suppose it could be made compulsory, but if we do, and then your client can't fill it in, is it going to frustrate the client? I don't know. I'll take that back to Acre and see their overall thoughts on that. I have a huge issue with the welcome email template, or in other words, the email that sends the system to the client. Okay. Kirill, yeah, I'll pick that up. That might be something to do with your permissions, and it might be an easy fix. But I've never seen that, so I'll try and test it with different permissions and see what happens. I agree, if your clients aren't doing mortgages and you're saying review the mortgage, that could be misleading. So I'll need to take that away and have a look if we can see whether or not it's permission. It's something as simple as linking it to permissions. Yeah, same thing again, Carol, no problem. How can I change it to say last 3 months bank statements and latest bank statements? I use the portal all the time. Only ever get the list despite telling them email. Again, it's a system change, Keith, so I'll take it back to the acre guys. I agree with you, even though you might religiously tattoo onto your client's eyelids that they need to send you 3 individuals, or at least the last 3. Clients sometimes don't actually hear that. Okay. Regarding proof of address, why is there no option for driving license? I'm not sure. I didn't see that on there, Phil. I'll check that again in a second. And why did the password setup? When did the password setup go live? It's because it's in a production at the moment, Bobby Jean. It will go live very soon. I believe. Well, I don't have a date, but it will be live very soon. We are just checking a couple of things. Last meeting we had, I think there was the figure that was said was 98% of all of them have been checked. So it will be live very, very soon. Okay. Okay, so let's go back into the case. Let's just refresh everything. You know what Acre's like if we don't refresh things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send the client a message and I'll show you what happens. And then we'll have a look at what the client's done in the fact find. Okay, so you can see here straight away down here, you've got a big red 2 saying there's some notes. Okay, and if we go into that and show you that in a second, but basically that used to be hiding away up here. It's still up here. But now on the individual case, it also is in the individual case. Obviously, if you're not in the case, if you just go into your dashboard, then you would want to come up here and see what these messages are. But if you did actually, if you were having a conversation with Samantha, or you said, okay, Samantha's just sent me a text and said she's done what she needs to do, you could come in the case and it would be alarmingly obvious there. Okay, so we go across to those notes and we say, okay, brilliant, we've got our 2 messages here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to respond to that message. And I'm just going to say thank you to her. So thanks. I will contact soon. Or whatever message you were going to respond. And obviously spell it correctly. Whatever message you're going to send. So we're going to send that straight to Samantha. And then whilst that's going on its merry little way, we could then have a look at those messages and where they've come from. Yeah, I've got that message. I've got that message. Brilliant. Okay. I'm just going to check because I've just had a noisy email come in my ear, and I'm just wondering if it was from somewhere else or it was that one. Basically, what I'm trying to demonstrate is when you send that to your client will not only get that message in the client portal, they will also get this email saying that your broker sent you a message. Go and have a look at it, because you know your clients being clients and busy lives themselves. If you send them a message in the portal and they don't go back into the portal for 3 or 4 days and you need something answering, then of course you could send them a text or an email. But my point is, when you send a message, it will send your client the portal and they can click on the new message and then they'll be asked to log into the portal. And then when they log into the portal, they will see the message. Okay, so there again, it'll take them straight through to the login screen. Okay, so let's have a look at what's happened from all of that behind the scenes when the client's gone in and done either as much as we asked them or as little as we asked them, whatever the case may be. Okay, so once Acre's refreshed, we can go up to our fact find. In our case details, we haven't put any information because remember our client said they weren't sure on all of that. So we could fill that in if we've had a conversation with our clients. We can go in here and we can see that the client section has been completed. So we can see that all of the mandatory fields have already all been completed. And then, of course, you would go in and complete anything else that you needed to, whether your client's a high rate taxpayer, and of course, following your conversations with your client, whether or not you deem them to be potentially vulnerable. The ID verification, it will still show as outstanding because your client, because I was doing it and my passport and etc. wasn't the correct thing, it will show as invalid. But what would show here if your client had done that and it worked perfectly, which in 9 out of 10 cases, there's no reason why it shouldn't. If the passport's a clear picture and the client puts the head in the little oval and has the picture taken, there's no reason why this shouldn't be done. And it would show here. And what would also happen is the documents would be uploaded. I'll show you those in a second. But in this case, your client hasn't been able to do that, but let's assume they had. You could then go ahead and run the checks. You would have the passport or whatever they've used for their ID, and you would have that already in the documents folder. Okay, this is going to fail because we haven't used the correct documents. If we go along and look at what our clients have filled in for us, so we go into the credit details, the client didn't have any credit commitments, or the client did have any credit commitments. If they've got the credit file, they would have come through. If they haven't got the credit file or they haven't got any commitments, there'll be nothing here. Of course, you still need to go in and do your mandatory questions. If we go across to the properties, we can see that the client's filled in the property details, or hasn't filled in the property details. Forgive me, they didn't know anything about the new property. But we're going to go in and we're going to check and make sure that we're adding a property in to be mortgaged. They put in their own property details, which came through in the client section. And they went in and filled in the income. But my point here is the client can do as much as you ask them to, or as little as you ask them to, and then you can go in and complete any other bits that they haven't done. So we can go in and make sure that we have the net monthly income, because this might be something you want to have a conversation with your client. It might be a case of if they've got some sort of different ways of creating income. So if they've got lots of P11D benefits, they've got maybe they pay childcare via their income, maybe they pay pension via their income. So that conversation you will want to have with them. And the same with the budget planner. Remember, we said to our client, don't bother with the budget planner. I'll go in and I'll complete all of that with you. So you can go in and you can walk them through, or you could ask them to complete the budget planner in the portal, and they would have completed that. But again, you need to have that conversation about agreeing a monthly budget with your client. Okay. So really straightforward. I think one of the main things I wanted to really reiterate this morning is get used to using the portal. If you're not using the portal, because you think it'd be really, really difficult for your clients, hopefully that's shown that it isn't that difficult a journey for your clients. It is really, really straightforward. Your clients can go in and just look at those boxes. They can click on those boxes and they're really, really straightforward. Or you can say to your client, I'm going to send you a link for a portal. It will ask you for information, but don't worry about that because you and I are going to discuss that. If you don't mind, just go to the document section and upload this, upload that. If you don't mind, would you just please go in and get your credit file and do the ID check. So you'll need a picture of your passport and make sure it's a nice clear picture, and you'll need to go in and follow the process. And the process is really, really straightforward. Okay. If you want to go and have a look at deep diving into the client portal, if you go to the knowledge base and then on the knowledge base, you click on the client portal tab, it will take you here and you can see there's lots and lots and lots of things in here. It talks about the home buyer checklist, how to custom theme, talks about the journey for the client. So there's lots and lots of things in here that will take you through. And it will also take you through a view of those screens that your client will see when they do the on-feed or check. Okay. So let me just scroll back up the questions and I'll check them in a second. And also remember that Acre Support lives on our website as well. So within the technology, within the advisor site, within the technology, Acre Support. And what I did want to highlight is if we scroll down a little bit further, obviously all of the guides, and keep an eye on these because we are updating some of these and we are creating more guides all the time. So keep an eye on these. Keep an eye out for things like how to change flags, how to add flags, how to remove flags from cases when you can, when you can't, etc. The different release notes from Acre. These things that we've done this morning. So if you've missed it, some of this, if you come in late or you've got a colleague that couldn't attend, this is where these recordings will live as we go forward. And then at the bottom, we've got some bite-sized videos that we've put together. These are between 5 and 10 minutes. I think the longest is something like 12 minutes. But generally they're between 5 and 10 minutes, and they are just exactly what they say on the tin. So it's a bite-sized video of how to use the firm principal dashboard, a bite-sized video of how to complete an equity release case, etc., etc. And these will be growing more and more and more as we go forward. So again, just for your awareness, go into the advisor site, go to technology, click on Acre Support. Okay. So let me just